Good afternoon if you're in the UK, if you're in good afternoon if you're in Europe, good morning if you are in North America, and I don't know what you're doing up at this time of night if you're in Australia, but welcome to the feature roundup for the Q2 release from Apteco. I am James Alty, I will be your host today. I'm joined online by Mel Davis, our Group Marketing Manager, and she will help run the polls and answer any questions that you have, which you're welcome to put in through the Teams platform. We will keep your voice muted because we have people online in lots of different environments. So there could be background noise, but either through the polls or through the chat or through the Q&A, we're delighted to have your engagement. Please do ask. And if there's anything that we cannot handle online during the session, we will come back to you afterwards on that. So we have a variety of topics, as has been typical recently. I'm going to start with Apteco Orbit, our beautiful end-to-end web tool. Going to show you some of the developments in Orbit, including extensions to the data model in Orbit Connect, where you define your Apteco system. We'll mention some of the improvements to the dashboard technology elevation, which I showed at the last webinar, which we've deployed live, and we've got some refinements that have come in the recent sprints. I'm going to show you some fantastic new features in campaigns. I realise actually I haven't even managed to put all the features on the list, but they're in the presentation and in the demo. I'm going to show you some developments in Fast Stats. We'll do a live demo of one part of the Fast Stats system, particularly the pattern matching using category grouping, and we'll talk through some of the other items, the abilities that we've added to the FastStat system in the Q2 release. And of course, all of the details of these features are included in the release notes, and you can see those in the Help Hub as well. We'll touch on that later. We have the new .digital integration in PeopleSage, which I'll talk about. And this release, we have quite a lot in FastStats Designer. I'm not going to try and demo it for you, but we'll talk through some of the changes. I'm going to flag up right now at this first opportunity that we have a file format change for Designer Q2 25, which means if you want to use a system loaded with Designer from Q2 25, you need to be using a service from Q2 25 in order to connect to it and to connect that data. And that's an improvement in the definitions that we hold inside the FastStats data in order to ensure a speedier startup and also a safer validation of the various parts of the data store that we build. So lots of nice improvements. Remember, you can at all times see what's new at Apteco by going to the page that's called exactly that, what's new. We're going to send the presentation as a PDF after the webinar, and you can click the link in the PDF to get directly to the what's new at Apteco page. And we maintain details of the last 4 releases, so you can go back and see recent releases. If you've not deployed them all, they are available to you, and it's a great way to stay up to date with all the work that our teams are doing continuously on the application. We also work continuously on the Help Hub and the documentation, so go to help.apteco.com at any time to read about the recent releases or to learn more about a particular feature. And our 2 technical authors, Chris and Reese, are hard at work every single working day, in fact every hour of every working day, improving the Help Hub, and we're getting to the point where we're going to be able to bring it all together into a single help structure, which means you can search across the entire help environment, where at the moment we've had it in separate structures. So look out for continuing work there, and you can link through from the PDF to see the Help Hub. I'll remind you as well that we have on-demand training courses There is some free content and some paid content, but if you want to learn about dashboards and audiences in Orbit, or the campaigning in Orbit, or you want to do the FastStats Advanced course, you can do all of that in your own time, at your own pace, using the fantastic videos that we've recorded for you. Each of the courses has a trailer. There are different costs. So in the UK, we charge either £250 for a full course or £60 for a mini course, and you get access to the course material and a working system matching the course material for 30 days from the date you subscribe to the course. There's trailers and there's free content in the on-demand system. So learning.apteco.com will take you there, and you can stream that on virtually any device in any territory, and you can pay online if you choose to, access it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And what I previously called the recording studio, perhaps better you can think of it as a podcasting room. We're now producing videos every day in order to keep up to speed with the developments in the platform and to provide that self-service access. So do go have a look. Right, as I said, we'll start with Orbit. Using the PDF, you'll be able to link directly to the release notes, which are in the help hub if you want to go and find them manually, but lots going on. So first of all, in Orbit Connect, which is the part of the platform that allows you to ingest data and connect Apteco to your data systems, we've got a more powerful structure. We now support many-to-one and one-to-one lookups, in addition to the core one-to-many relationships that you might have between an individual and their transactions, or between an order and the order lines within that detail. So we now give you the ability, for example, to look up from a product code to the classifying data around that product, or to look up from one individual to go and find their consent details, for example, in a one-to-one relationship. It just makes Connect more powerful. And I should emphasize that you can use these capabilities with the Apteco CDP. I'll mention the CDP further in due course, and it's now available to anybody who is using the Apteco cloud, and it allows you to bring multiple data sets together and resolve around the individuals in those data sets, the identities in those data sets, and to link multiple source records to a single individual record. But you can also upload, for example, lookup data through the CDP as a user data table, and then define the lookup relationship in Connect, where the core customer data table relationships are known to us in the CDP, and we can fulfill those for you automatically. If you're bringing user data in, you can declare the relationship type. So it's all feeling like that's coming together nicely now with the power of the CDP to help you identify net unique individuals, their various contact points. Remember, we support email, mobile, postal address, and landline as contact points, and you can use those in your data model as you bring the data into Apteco. So if you're a Connect user, look out for the new options. So I think over the last couple of webinars, I've demoed some of the work we were doing on a project that we eventually called Dashboard Technology Elevation. We were elevating the technology behind our dashboards, one of the longest established, though not the very oldest part of Orbit. We were revamping that and bringing it up to date, and that has been shipped some time ago. And we continue to work on those dashboard presentations. Our challenge was to simplify, to standardize, to organize, and to redesign the layout of both the definition of the dashboard tiles and to some extent what appears on the dashboard tiles themselves. But we've made further improvements after feedback. For example, we had added titles onto the axes of cubes and charts, but they took tile space that some of you didn't want dedicated to that purpose. You know, if the variables content in effect is self-identifying, you don't need a title in addition to the labels on that dimension. So we now have given you the ability to remove those. I hope you're finding the dashboard definition process easier and smoother, particularly if you're a new user, because looking at some of the user research, we've seen people who are new find it very natural to click through and access the settings. Although we had our partner advisory board meeting last week, and one interesting idea from one of our valued premium partners was to auto open all the branches in the edit panel. So if you just want to scroll down and see at a glance all of the settings, and that's lovely feedback, and we commend you to provide feedback. Remember, and I'm sure we'll touch on this in the presentation later, we have the wishes or ideas portal where you can put wishes in, and we review those every Monday afternoon. We look at the wishes that have come in and review which of those we can bring in directly and which ones are longer. And sometimes, unfortunately, we have to decide that's something that one person wants, but which we don't plan to do, and we try to give you a clear feedback. A quick reminder that the other benefit of the dashboard technology elevation was that the black floating panel that allows you to action a selection is now movable, so you can move it out of the way if it's sat on top of the item you want to select on. The old menu was always in the top right and sometimes overlaid on the top corner of the most valuable part of your chart. Well, now you can move it and select from it. I'm not going to demo that anymore. We showed it previously. I will show you briefly that we have some controls, or certainly if I have enough time, I'll show you. We can now customize what's displayed for your users operating a dashboard. You can now restrict which parts of the filters are displayed. If, for example, you want to constrain a particular user to view a particular subset of your data, you might put a dashboard filter in place. And with that dashboard filter in place, then you may want them to be aware of that, to see it, but you may not. And now you can turn that off. You can turn the search filters off as well. So a little bit more control. One that I will show you live, we've introduced campaign folders into Orbit Campaign. This is a big step forward, and the campaign folders are equivalent to and compatible with bidirectionally the areas in your PeopleStage system if you're a PeopleStage user. And so now Orbit Campaign will show the folder structure that you've declared. You can have nested subfolders to any level. They can contain campaigns, and you can copy or duplicate campaigns. You can move campaigns. We have some restrictions on what you can move. So, for example, if you have a published campaign, we will not let you move that, because in its published location, it will be subject to the limits that have been applied to folders, for example, constraints that have been applied. But you could take a copy of it and take the copy as an unpublished campaign to another folder and do new work on that there. It really does move campaigning forward. And we have a program here at Apteco working on what we call campaign fundamentals. So watch out down the line. We have A/B testing, we have seeds, etc. Voucher codes coming as we flesh out each of the areas of Orbit with the requirements of our users. So campaign folders was high on that wish list. We're delighted to provide it, and I think you'll find it's a very natural environment. We also have introduced a campaign calendar. Again, I'll show you this, an easy way to see the last and next activity of your campaigns, your messages. It doesn't attempt to show every interaction that every campaign will undertake. We've chosen to provide the campaign calendar in an early and simple form so that you can react to it, guide us, give us wishes on what you would like it to do. But as I'll try and demonstrate today, it's a useful way to see when your campaigns will activate, and therefore to spot if there are over communication hotspots, or if there are periods of silence when you could add campaigning activity. So I'll show you the campaign calendar. I'll also show you the new quick messaging capability. This has come through our provision of an email capability. Apteco email is built into the Orbit platform. And we heard from some users that you wish to be able to do what you were in practice of doing with your email service provider, which is occasionally just do a set of data that's in a file. Not a big segmented, personalized, well, actually we can do personal campaign with multiple steps and events and sections and so on, but just a simple campaign now to this group of people. I think a good example of that is where you've been to a conference or an event, you sponsored it somehow, and you've come back with a list of contacts, and you want to just start the communication before you've fully processed the data. You've not got them in your CRM system yet. They're not going to have all the data yet. You can do a quick message to them, and we allow you to record some details of that communication so it can form part of your comms history over the longer term, but it means a very quick start, and I'll show that for now. I'm delighted to say that after loads of work and some reworking, this week we expect to make at tier 1 for all members of the Apteco Insider program. So if you signed up as an Apteco partner, you're a participant in the Insider program, we will be in a position from this week with the sprint update that's due tomorrow to configure Orin for you. And that's particularly easy and effective if you're using Apteco Cloud. It takes a little bit more installation and configuration if you're working on premise, but we have some notes for our tech services team who are experienced in configuring Orin now. And tier 1 is the knowledge navigator. It'll help you provide guidance on what the Apteco platform can do. And sprint by sprint, week by week, month by month, from now on, we'll be supporting Orin and extending Orin into tier 2, the data navigator, and tier 3, the solution builder level of Orin, which is attached to your analytics license. So if you're using Predictor, you get the full capability. If you're using Analyzer, you get the data navigator. If you're using Selector, you only get the basic knowledge guide. But 6 months after we demoed Orin at Apteco Live, we're delighted to introduce him to your platforms. So let's have a look at Orbit. Here I am logged in, and I'm going to start with campaigns this time because I normally start with dashboards, but let's go into campaigns because we've got some lovely functionality for you. So you can see immediately there's a difference. We can see folders. Those folders are ordered by the choices down here. So I could have them in ascending alphabetical order, or I could have them in the date that the campaign last ran, for example, or descending, so the most recent campaign folders. Folders are easy to create. You'll see on the new button at the top right, I can create a new campaign, a new quick message, or a new folder. So let's call this one webinars, and we are going to create the folder and zoom into it directly. And I could say that I would like to create a folder within that, and they are unlimited nesting. So I could say that I'm going to create the Q2 2025 webinar. You can see that I've got a breadcrumb trail to see which folder I am in. I can, of course, click on the folders and on the subfolders to navigate as easily as that. And in a moment, I'll show you copying a campaign, for example. But let's do something new. Let's create a quick message. We're going to say this is Q2 attendees, attendee, quick message, and that's a a campaign that we're going to create right now. And remember, quick messages are built from a file. So if I go and look at this, and notice we're already in edit mode, so I can say that I would like to edit this, and this is our Q2 attendee cohort. Actually, it's our Q2 registration cohort, and never mind, but I set up my demo based on attendees. So I hope everyone who registered turned up. If not, and you're watching it on the recording, then maybe you got an email back on the day. So all we're going to do in here is choose a file, and in the best fashion, I have the registrations here. Now, you'll notice that we are offered the choice of .csv, .txt, or .tsv. So comma-separated values need to have commas between fields and quotes around the text. TXT is assumed to be tab delimited, and TSV sounds very similar, the same. So it's either comma-separated or tabbed values. In this case, I've got a .txt file that contains a header that says first name and email. It has first names, tab, email address, and the same in the header, and that's all. And because we are displaying this on a recorded session, I've put some Apteco addresses up at the top, including one for Orin, which actually I don't know if we've given Orin an email account. And please don't email him saying, why don't you do X or Y, because he's unfortunately not been trying to listen to that just yet, but maybe that's a good idea for the future. But Mel, Liz and Joe have all helped me prepare for this session, so we'll send them a message to say thank you for attending. So that's all we have in our audience. One file, any number of columns. So actually in here, we'll see the file is identified. I can, of course, delete it. I can add a limit. I can import it again. So if I deleted it, selected it again, it is as easy as that. And although I've only got 2 columns, you could have 10 columns with other data that you want to use in your quick message. So that's set up. Let's add an email, could be an SMS, and let's go and edit the email. So we'll call this Q2 attendee email number 1, and we'll choose a channel. Well, I'm only ever going to use the Apteco email channel. Clearly, it's tied into the email channel, but you might have different sub-accounts or different brands that you're using. You can see that I've got 366 credits. It's not very many, is it? I'll have to go and have a word with Katie and buy some more, but we only need 82, so we are okay. I have created already a template called Q225 webinar attendees, but let's go and have a look at that. It took me a few moments to create this, actually by copying a previous template that's already got logo and footer and stuff in there. And just to prove the point, I can edit any of this. Let's put that this is a live release webinar. And really, I'm not doing very much in here. I'm a data guy rather than a creative soul. And so, I've got logos and headers and some coloring, and I've got a bit of personalization. We're going to put in a variable called name. Remember that, you'll see it again in a minute, with a default of friend. Well, actually, let's say registrant. Could say attendee, couldn't I? I'm a bit inconsistent in my marketing. Little bit of header and text, and I've got a link to the release notes for any of you who forget how to get to the release notes. Lovely footer. That all looks okay, doesn't it? Let's save and publish that. And it'll say, yes, publish those changes. That's available for us to use. And so I can close the template editor. I can, if I wish, create a template, contact list. I don't need to. I can manually approve. I'm not going to in this case. I could add UTM tracking codes. Again, not really needed for what we're doing. But you can see that Orbit has looked at my template and said there are 2 fields needed. Let's have a look and see what they are. One is called name and one is called real email address. Name is the one that you saw in the template. Real email address is defined in the channel definition for Apteco email. We've called it real email address because quite a lot of the time we're doing demos with dummy email addresses and not actually broadcasting, and we use our mock broadcaster rather than the live broadcaster. But this needs 2 fields. So do we want Orbit to add those? Well, we sure do, because I don't want to have to type them out by hand. But now I do need to pair the data from my file with the data fields needed in my template. And there you go. It's remarkably easy. I can say the first name is going to be used as the piece of name data. The email that is in our file, we're going to use as the email address. I can do splits and tests, and I can add other content fields. But for today's purposes, that's all we need. And that's it. A simple, quick message, an audience, a delivery, and nothing else. It's not multi-branching. It's not triggered events. It's not multi-way. It's just a one-off send. Notice there's not even a schedule, because what's going to happen when I save this, if I choose to publish it, as we will see confirmed on screen, this will be run immediately. So let's just publish that. So that's the name of it. It's scheduled to run on publish. It doesn't reoccur. There's no constraints. It's got 82 people from that file with no limit. We're sending an email, which we can look at, see what channels and so on. We can optionally record the communication history, which in this case can only be the email address that we have used. I don't need to for today's purposes. And so we can publish a quick message. We can see the schedule's been modified automatically behind the scenes. We're scheduling that. We've published it. We're now running. Let's go have a look at monitoring, and we will see in a moment the detail as that starts updating. We will see the details come in here, and we should see that we are getting Q2 attendee cohort coming through. It'll take it a minute, and a few minutes after that runs, we should get the data into your inbox and do it appearing. Let me show you the next thing I was going to do while that is cogitating. So if I go back to my folders, I'll come back here in a minute and see how we've got on. So we have got this campaign inside the Q2 webinar folder. I can say that I would like to copy or duplicate this campaign. So notice that we're not being allowed. In fact, if I choose move, it will say that actually we're going to copy it because it's being published. Let me show you that. If we go here, we're going to be asked which folder do you want to put it into, and it could be nested folders within folders, but I created myself very convenient and easily named another folder. So we're going to make a copy. Notice, and I've tried to emphasize the point, because this is a published campaign, although we chose move, which was the standard option on the menu, we have it ticked already that we're going to make a copy. So I can make a copy and move that to another folder. So there you go, it's been copied to another folder. Let's go have a look at that. Campaigns, another folder. It's now got a copy of the quick message campaign, and this one is in edit mode, and I could use it and edit it and move on from it. Let's just go back to our webinar and our Q2 and our campaign, and let's just have a look at monitoring. And there you go, while we were looking the other way, despite how long I waited, it obviously got on with it. It's done 82 messages, 82 people registered for the campaign, and with any luck that's in your inbox already, and if not, it will be there in seconds. Right, so let's have a look at calendars. So if I go back to campaign, You may have noticed a small button in the top right-hand corner next to the template builder. It shows us the campaign calendar. We're in July 25. It shows us Tuesday, the date 1st of July. Actually, nothing scheduled, and that's because the quick campaign has already gone. It wasn't scheduled as much. That's a quick message. But tomorrow we'll be sending the Book Next holiday campaign and the multi-stage campaign with goals and objectives, and just possibly, as a marketing manager, I might not want both of those going on the same day. This is a demo system. It doesn't have very much scheduled, but to be clear, at present, we're just showing the next execution of any part of the campaign. So even if you've got a schedule, for example, further down a campaign, not just the initial audience, but actually further down the campaign, if that's the next thing that's going to happen, it will show when that is going to happen. We're going to give you some refinement so that you can say, I only want to see the initial audience, for example. I don't want to see all the steps further down the campaign. You might want to see just audiences and deliveries. So we'll give you some refinement. And also, we're going to extend it so it will show the last time a campaign ran, as well as the next time that a campaign is going to run. So a little bit more detail in there. We can step forward and see other campaign execution, or step backwards, see when something was scheduled, for example. And you'll see that the campaign calendar rows expand as we step through the elements. We're just judging the use of that. Exportable as a PDF as well. So if you've got a much more fully fledged campaign calendar than I have in this demo system, that might be a useful thing for you to use. You can see when it's scheduled, which area it's in, and which folder it's in, and which the name of it. And as I said, if you're a people stage user, you can come into Orbit Campaign. You'll see all the details from your areas presented as folders, and your campaigns and their schedule presented in the calendar. So hopefully that all feels like nice improvements. I'm sorry, I should have said you can show it as a list as well as a grid view. Hopefully that's all useful. And watch this space. We've got more coming in the campaign fundamentals project. Right, let's go look at dashboards. And I'll take my home dashboard, which I have permission to edit. And if I go look at my filters, let's just give it a chance to refresh. If I look at my filters, you can see I've got a dashboard filter in place. In this case, I'm only looking at sales executives, public sectors, and students for whatever purpose. I may have got filters in place for search, for example. So I could search by surname, I could search by town name, and address line, for example. Let's choose something that's in there. We'd use address. And those items, if I close that and save the dashboard, they will appear in my filters panel. In fact, sorry, didn't manage to turn on the search one correctly, but you can see they're visible to the user. And in addition to any filters the user has themselves created. The new capability is that we can now say that these options are visible or hidden. In fact, yes, I had the search turned off, but let's now turn off the dashboard filter. So when I close this and save my dashboard, my user only gets user filters. They can't see that I've constrained their world. They can't see that I'm only looking at the sales executives. So yeah, is it intended to just give you a little bit more control over what appears in the user filter panel? Hopefully that is helpful. And let's just edit one of these charts, and I'll show you that on each of those, if you go to the dimensions and you open a dimension, you'll see that we now have the option to display the title. Can you see it on the left-hand side, written vertically, continent, written horizontally, sum of profit? So I can turn off the label for the continent. The sum of profit is a measure, and if I go to the measure, again, I can turn off the title. And so now I'm going to get a refined presentation. Don't seem to manage to turn off the continent, but I did manage to turn off the legend label. So we're trying to just refine what is presented for you, trying to help you use the tile space as effectively as possible. And we will just keep working on this in order to give you the best view in your data. Don't know why I didn't manage to turn off the continent. Right, one final thing in Orbit, and that is Orin. Now, since I demoed Orin at Apteco Live in November, he's moved house. He's no longer overlaid on top of stuff in the bottom right-hand corner. He's got a very neat house in the bottom left-hand corner of the status bar, visible for everybody, enabled according to your system configuration and your license. And as before, if I open that, you can see Oran's personalization, and I can say, what is the Apteco marketing platform? And Oren will use his knowledge. And our analyze team have been working on training Oren, populating Oren's knowledge. And to quite a significant extent, we've done that using our own training materials. So as you can imagine, our training team writes scripts for the on-demand videos. We've fed those scripts into the Orin training materials, and that's helped balance the knowledge that Orin has of the Apteco platform. And at tier 1, though, our first production release, we are able to use wide-ranging knowledge of the platform, of its positioning, of its purposes, of how to do things. And so can you help me make a look alike, for example? And Orin will guide us as best he can. So it's actually telling me, we've got to start somewhere, and we've got loads that will come into Orin over the years, months, and sprints to come, because imagine using a conversational interface rather than a point-and-click interface. Imagine using Orin to guide you through a process rather than using a wizard to guide you through a process. Imagine Orin having knowledge of your data. So, as I demonstrated in November, what data is loaded into this system, for example. And actually, just to manage your expectation, I've got a fully enabled Orin in our demo system, but in production, we'll limit Orin to tier 1, which is just knowledge of the platform. But you can see we now know about the tables. I can say what variables are available on the people table. And if you wish to, you can do as I did in November and use audio speech recognition. That's just the browser doing that, not Orin, but you can see it quite naturally becomes how you interface with it. And I could say what occupation or what categories, perhaps, what categories are there in the occupation variable. Anyone who's used Apteco training knows that the sort of base case of doing a profile or a crosstab or something, you use income by occupation all the time, sort of simple variables just to illustrate the point. But actually, we've tried to put guide rails and sense checks around Orin for the use of data. And as you maybe saw earlier, Orin listed a certain number of variables for us rather than filling the whole screen and scrolling forever. We've got clients with thousands of variables in their system, so it wouldn't be appropriate to try and list them all. So yeah, look out for Orin. If you're a member of the Apteco Insider program, we will send you an announcement email in the coming days. Probably we're expecting to push Orin to production use for Apteco Insider members this week, all being well. You know, test team are always working. It's their call finally whether Orin meets the standards, and we measure with the three H's: helpful, honest, and harmless. That's the measures. We do a human assessment of Orin's results to make sure we're meeting the quality standards, in addition to the automated testing that we have, of course. Right, just keeping an eye on the time. Let's go back here, and with any luck, Mel is going to be able to show a feedback poll, and hopefully I've talked about all the things that are on the feedback poll, because otherwise you won't know what I talked about. So yes, which ones are going to be useful? More flexible data model, enhanced dashboards, campaign folders, campaign calendar, quick messaging, and Orin. So take a moment, tick all that apply, and we'll be glad to share that. And we provide this feedback to our product team so they can see the generally positive reaction that we get on there. So when Mel judges enough people have answered, I think we will see the percentages, yeah, reasonably widely spread. Quick messaging, obviously, only relevant if you do have that occasional need to use some raw data, but good, glad that is useful. And enhanced dashboard still the top one, so thanks, Mel. Let's push on, and we'll move on to looking at the options you have for using data. And Mel, I'm still seeing the poll on the shared screen. I don't know if you can close that, please. So we have three options for you if you want to test Apteco. Those are bring your own data. They are the Salesforce data trial and the demonstration data trial. So bring your own data means you can upload whatever you like into the application. Salesforce data trial, we can connect to your Salesforce full system or your sandbox and pull data straight in. And we've done work to support Salesforce from end to end. And incidentally, are just about the same position now with Microsoft Dynamics. We haven't actually talked about running a Dynamics data trial, but I don't think there's any reason we shouldn't or couldn't. And I know a lot of not-for-profits particularly are using Microsoft Dynamics. And then demonstration data is access to the holiday system that we've just been looking at. So if you're interested, you can use all of those. Let's have a quick look at fast stats. This is the one I'm going to show you. The pattern matching has now been combined with category grouping, so we can group items and then aggregate within them and use the pattern match against the aggregated values. So that is a more powerful, as Chris Rowe, our lead developer in this area, put, is bringing together the two most powerful capabilities in the on-the-fly aggregations: pattern matching and aggregation grouping. So I'll show this in a minute, but it would let you look at the group of transactions, aggregate a measure, so count them, sum them, average them, and then look to see if there's a trend across those. So you could group by month and then see if there's a pattern across those months, for example. So powerful tool if you're doing analytical work. We've also extended once again the geographic mapping in FastStats so that we can now show only statistically significant results. So in the screenshot on the right, you can see the some areas that have no color. So we can see Milton Keynes and Northampton have no color. And that is because there was no statistically significant results in that area. So in that case, the color, or in this screenshot, the color is being set by the index over and under representation. For example, hot areas are in red, cool areas are in blue. And you remember previously that we improved the banding to support that type of index banding so that the color ranges are appropriately dispersed or spread each side of the 100 center point. But now we've put the Z-score in as well, so you can only show color. You can restrict the map to only show color where there is a statistically significant result. I'm not going to try and show that, I run out of time in my schedule. Transaction analysis now has some new options where you can remove duplicates, for example, where you want to look at just the net unique identifiable behaviors. But for example, so if someone buys apples, pears, you might only be interested in the fact they went from apples to pears. That might be it. And the next aggregation, when you're doing relative transactions for on the fly, we now have some new options to do nth or nth distinct. And again, these types of developments often come from support calls that have come in where people have asked for this type of ability, and we add that into the software using the existing dialogues, but just some additional options. One that we rather imposed on ourselves through our own support team is better management of time zones, and we're improving how time zones operate, the visible server location time zone rather than the user's time zone, just to be more consistent. And we have Apteco businesses around the world, around the clock. Part of our support proposition is 24/5 support, and actually understanding time zones and carefully ensuring that you're selecting as you expect. So if your server's in Australia, you're probably wanting to work in Australian time zone, for example, and that's why we made this sort of change. We've also introduced decade banding, not one that gets asked for very often in the sort of high performance digital marketing world, but we have a big data set with the date that properties were built in North America, and actually having it all sort of by year back to 1700 or whatever the first properties were dated looked a bit daft. So you can now do it by decade. No one's asked for century or millennium banding yet. I guess that will come. As you can see, the release notes will give you details of what you can do. So let's just have a quick look at this, and if I choose the right window, we've got fast stats running, and we can create an expression, and we can add an on-the-fly aggregation, which if you use on-the-fly aggregations, you'll recognize that there's always some sensible default put in place. There's a sensible default name, which you can reset. If you name it manually, you can reset it back to the system's name for whatever you've done. In this case, I'm going to do a pattern match, and I'm going to be grouping on people and grouping transactions from our booking step. So it's the main transactional data. And I could say, for example, I want to group the transactions by date, and then apply a function. So I'm saying take everything that happened on a particular date, and the function I wish to apply is to summate, for example, in which case, what variable am I summating? Well, I'm doing the cost variable, so I'm adding up the spend on every day in the natural sequence. And then I can say, in this case, I want to pattern match on a numeric variable. And for example, actually, let's do that with not a manually defined, but I'm going to use the longest strictly increasing cost, for example. Yeah, sorry, don't need to fill that in because we've already got it. And that will give us the increasing pattern. Remember, some sprints ago, we added some of these defaults so that you can choose them from the menu rather than having to type the syntax behind the scenes for a manual banding to say increase, increase, increase. We can do longest increasing, which is without equal values, or longest increasing, which would allow equal values, or longest strictly increasing, which doesn't allow equal values. And then I can evaluate that and optionally filter and then view it, etc. And you can see we've got a rather long name by default, but we can execute that and it will show us the patterns that have been created. And then we can which date, that's the start date of the longest increasing pattern. So you can then use that in a grid. Now, one thing I found when I was just creating this was I was going to use booking year, but you'll see if I use booking year, but I'd actually created that as a categorical rather than ascending ordinal variable, so it doesn't have the same sequencing option. So if you are doing that type of work, create the booking classification. If you want a further level of grouping prior to the group on the transactions, then you can put that in there. So again, just trying to add value all the way through the Apteco suite, so we can get the analysts and the users and the campaign managers all using these powerful functions. Right, I think that's given you a flavour of that. Let's just drop back. We're not going to do a poll on one item because that was all we showed. People stage, again, just one item. For those of you who use Digital, and we support about 25 different email service providers, alongside Apteco email that's built in, alongside Apteco SMS, which is built in, alongside WhatsApp and socials are all built in. We know some people have established ESP relationships, and we've done the work to support Digital API version 3, which allows for better management, and we're working with Digital to help them roll that out and to make it available to Apteco customers. So work ongoing, I believe, with Digital, fleshing out what API version 3 can do for you, but we support it already. And in Apteco Designer, I'm not going to try and read all of this, but you'll see it in the handout. We've reintroduced an ability to create primary selectors. Those are like clustered indexes in SQL Server. They're a sort sequence applied to the data, and it allows us to focus in on that part of the data. We've got a massive data set in North America where we've used the state as the primary selector. And if you select on Florida, boom, we've got Florida really, really quickly for you. Core and linked data, again, a bit special. If you have a two-part Apteco system, the core data and a linked set of data, and some of our partners use that to update the linked data much more frequently than the base core data, you now have some extra controls. For those of you working in health, you might recognize the name Palantir Foundry, the federated data platform that is used by the NHS, the FDP, Federated Data Platform, is a Palantir Foundry implementation, and we now support connections directly to the NHS Federated Data Platform because it's on Palantir. We've improved our ability to do versioning with Salesforce, so you can use the latest version of the API. We've given you more options for how to code and describe unclassifieds. For example, I've already made the warning about Q2 introduces a versioning change in the file format. So if you use Q2 Designer, you must use Q2 Service and Fast Steps Launcher, and an improvement to combine files and shift files for data coming in. So if you're getting data every day as a separate file, we now have nice options to sort of combine and shift those so that you can run a sliding time window across the files and remove the oldest file, for example. Right, future plans, I've already mentioned, and you'll be able to use it in the handout, you can click through to the ideas portal and make wishes. You can view our roadmap. I'll show you a screenshot in a minute. You can always look at what's new, and we also report on milestones. Roadmap, remember there's two levels. The first page that you see are the epic, so these are the top tier capabilities. You can see in the center left, Apteco Gen AI Assistant, that is Orin, tier 1 capabilities. That's the next thing coming from that area. In the Connect team, for example, we've got work now going on CDP version 2. We've got version 1 out there, CDP version 2, as you'll see in a minute, adds capabilities, and loads going on in the campaign team. They're doing a great job of documenting what's coming as the campaign fundamentals process rolls along. Features even more detail, and remember you can visit this on apteco.com, log in, go to the roadmap, and if you click on one of these, you'll get editorial detail in addition to the title. I'm just going to mention the CDP, and in time this might become a standard section in our release presentations. The CDP allows you to create a unified record for individuals, to connect that individual to one or more representations of that individual in your source systems, to link those source systems to multiple transactions, so you can bring those transactions together around the unified customer record profile, getting one view of what that individual is worth to your organization, for example. You can now import user-defined tables. You can bring additional attributes onto the tables that we hold as the core of the data. So we have a standard data model for the individual with things like title, first name, surname, date of birth, gender, for example. But if you want favorite fruit, hair color, eye color, whatever else you want to attach to that individual, you can now do that in the CDP structure. And we've also extended so that the 4 contact points that we hold, postal address, email address, mobile number, and landline number, can all be brought up to the individual record, so you get a super easy presentation of the latest golden record for that person, and enriched over time with data from multiple sources. I think we might actually do a specific CDP webinar just to brief people and show people on what the Apteco CDP can now do. There's lots in that. We announced in the recent email update that we've got Salesforce end-to-end, and that is connect to Salesforce at the beginning, output to Salesforce in the campaign flow, upload back into Salesforce Sales Cloud. We're nearly there with Microsoft Dynamics, so that you can add Apteco onto either of those systems. And then moving on to upcoming events. Well, recently we've been in several places at once. We attended the Webwinkel Wachtdagen in Utrecht. And then on one day, we were at the NHS Confed Expo in Manchester. We were at Social West in Calgary, in Canada. And actually, we didn't list it, but we were also at a fundraising conference in Germany. Coming up, one of our partners, the Salacin Group, is running a charity and not-for-profit conference. We'll be attending there to support their presentation of Apteco. We're exhibiting at Online Retailer, which is in Sydney on my birthday. I haven't been given a ticket. I'm not going to fly around the world just yet for that. I've been traveling to Canada, so I better stay here for a while. We have the new Wachtdagen for fundraising in September, and then 3 of our European businesses are joining together at IFC 2025, which is in Noordwijk. So our UK team, our Dutch team, and our German team are all attending the IFC conference as a pan-European conference. So we've never done that before. That's a new part of Apteco. Right, latest news. We're delighted to announce the date and venue for Apteco Live 25. And that is Thursday, the 13th of November at the BFI, the British Film Institute building on the South Bank in London. Some of you will recall we were there about 10 years ago. We liked it so much we're going back. They have got great projectors and great screens. And when you get the handout by email from Joe, you will see a link to the page where you can find out more detail. But if you are making a great use of Apteco now, please start thinking about your entries for the Best Use of Apteco Award 2025. Entries are now open. I know it doesn't seem like it's the summer yet. Well, it does seem like the summer. It doesn't seem like we're through the summer. It doesn't feel like the autumn, but you can get your entries lined up, start talking to your brands or your partners and work out what you're going to enter this year for the chance to win Best Use of Apteco Award. I'm delighted to say your presentations will be pre-recorded. You're not going to be thrown live on stage at the BFI, but we will do the award presentation live. And I should have said the Apteco Live one day in person in London, not streamed. We will record some elements, but we're going back to the old school, meeting people in person, shaking their hands, looking them in the eye, and being together in London. So we hope you'll enjoy that experience, and hopefully you'll win the award. Right, very quickly, Mel, a feedback poll. Hopefully you found this a useful hour. I thought I was going to get this on the nose, but I'm 20 seconds over already, so hopefully it'll be useful, and Mel will judge when people have provided some feedback. And I've already learned something, which is that I've got to clear the results from my own screen. I'm ready, so hopefully Mel can show that. Anyway, I don't see that coming through, but I will assume that you've seen the result, and I'll just finish by clicking on the right screen and saying thank you very much for attending the webinar. I'm James Alty, founder and MD of Apteco. I'd be delighted to link with you. You can use that QR code or any of those contact points. That's it. Thank you very much for attending the Q2 2025 release webinar. Hope it's been enjoyable and informative. As ever, thank you for your business. We look forward to working with you. That's the end of the webinar.